Imagine waking up to a reality where the price of petrol in your city and the stability of your investments are not determined by market demand but the mood of one man flying 30,000 feet in the air. We often hear about strategic autonomy, but today that concept is facing its most aggressive test yet. On January 5, 2026, a statement was made about Air Force One that effectively links the war in Ukraine, a crisis in Venezuela, and the Indian economy into one volatile mix. If you think this is just another trade negotiation, you are mistaken. This is an ultimatum. Today we need to decode why the US president is saying India must make him happy and what happens to your wallet if we don't. Hello everyone and welcome to this deep dive analysis. We begin with the breaking news coming directly from Washington, or rather from the skies above it. Today, January 5, 2026, US President Donald Trump has issued a severe and fresh warning to India regarding its energy security. While speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, President Trump did not mince words. He explicitly stated that Washington will raise tariffs on India if India continues its current trajectory of importing Russian oil. Now, usually diplomatic language is subtle, but listen closely to the phrasing used today. President Trump said, quote, "We could raise tariffs on India if they don't help on the Russian oil issue." But he didn't stop there. He personalized his geopolitical standoff in a way that is classic Trump but deeply concerning for international relations. He claimed that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, quote, "knew he was not happy and that New Delhi wanted to make him happy." Let's pause and analyze that specific phrase. It was important to make me happy. This creates a very specific narrative. President Trump is framing the massive complex machinery of India-US trade not as a partnership between two sovereign democracies, but as a transactional relationship where one side must please the other to avoid punishment. He acknowledged that PM Modi is a very good man and a good guy, but in the same breath, he threatened economic consequences. He stated, "They do trade and we can raise tariffs on them very quickly." This is the classic carrot and stick approach. Praise the leader but threaten the economy. But why is this happening today? Why this sudden aggression on January 5, 2026? To understand this, we have to look at the hidden variable in this equation that most mainstream media might miss. It isn't just about Russia, it is about Venezuela. Reports coming in today indicate that the US strike on Venezuela has brought the issue of oil back to the absolute forefront of global geopolitics. We must remember that Venezuela holds the world's largest proven oil reserves, massive reserves totaling over 303 billion barrels. To put that in perspective, that accounts for roughly 17% of the total global oil supply. However, due to years of US sanctions and underinvestment, Venezuela's production has dwindled to just 1 million barrels per day. The timing of Trump's threat to India coincides with these aggressive moves in South America. The strategy seems to be shifting. If the US is making moves to control or influence the Venezuelan oil tap, they feel more emboldened to cut off the Russian tap completely. And the biggest valve on that Russian tap right now, it's India. This leads to a major conflict in the narrative that we need to analyze. On Air Force One today, President Trump claimed that India has substantially reduced its oil purchases from Russia. He's selling this to his domestic audience as a victory, claiming that PM Modi made this move to make him happy. But the reality on the ground in New Delhi is different. India has consistently defended its oil purchases from Russia as absolutely vital for domestic energy security. There is a disconnect here. Months earlier, Trump had claimed PM Modi assured him India would stop buying Russian oil, but India later clarified that no such conversation took place. Yet, Trump is doubling down on this claim today. Why? Because if he admits India is ignoring his warnings, he looks weak. So he spins a narrative that India is complying while simultaneously threatening tariffs if they don't help. This is a contradictory stance. They have stopped buying, but also, if they don't help, I will raise tariffs. This brings us to the most dangerous part of today's development, the tariffs. This warning is not happening in a vacuum. It coincides with the launch of a fresh round of negotiations between Indian and US officials aimed at resolving a long-standing trade impasse. We are already seeing the effects of this tension. Talks had faced disruptions earlier after the US imposed tariffs on Indian imports, reaching as high as 50% in August 2025. Think about that number. 50%. Trump is citing India's oil trade with Russia as the basis for these existing tariffs, and now he's threatening to go even higher. This is a direct linkage. He's effectively saying, your energy policy is my trade leverage. The economic implications for India are severe. If Indian exporters face tariffs higher than 50% on goods sent to the US, sectors like textiles, pharmaceuticals, and manufacturing will take a massive hit. The president explicitly mentioned that these tariffs could be raised very quickly. This adds an element of uncertainty to the market. Businesses hate uncertainty. If an Indian company doesn't know if their tax bill in the US will double next week because of a Russian oil tanker docking in Mumbai, they cannot plan for the future. Furthermore, just days before this call, Trump had threatened new tariffs on Indian rice imports following complaints from US farmers about dumping. So we are seeing a multi-front economic pressure campaign: oil, rice, and manufacturing. So where does India stand in this storm? The Indian government's position has remained consistent. Energy security is non-negotiable. With a population of 1.4 billion, India cannot afford to buy oil at premium prices just to satisfy the geopolitical goals of the United States. However, the pressure is mounting. The US Embassy in India recently quoted Trump, calling India an amazing country and PM Modi a great friend. But in international relations, when a superpower calls you a great friend while holding a loaded gun to your economy, that friendship is being tested. We also have to look at the broader context of the Russia-Ukraine war. Trump has deep interest in this conflict and has positioned himself as a potential mediator. He has held rounds of talks with Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky, though these have yielded no concrete path to peace yet. By squeezing India on Russian oil, Trump is trying to remove one of Putin's last major economic lifelines. He wants to force a conclusion to the war, and he's using the Indian economy as the lever to do it. In conclusion, today's statement from Air Force One is a wake-up call. The era of separating trade from geopolitics is over. The US president has made it clear: make him happy on Russian oil or face immediate harsh tariff hikes. With the Venezuela crisis heating up simultaneously, the global energy map is being redrawn in real time. India is now walking a razor's edge between maintaining its strategic autonomy with Russia and protecting its largest export market in the United States. The question I leave you with today is this: should India bow to this pressure to protect its exporters from tariffs, or should it stand firm on buying Russian oil, even if it means a trade war with the United States? The cost of happiness in Washington might just be too expensive for New Delhi.